waking up every hour at night for 3 days. And if people want to mess with our schedule, like, no. Velcro swaddle where she's really stuck. And then like everything went out the window because I'm someone who needs her sleep to be able to function. And but then, you know, having a guide that, you know, told me what to do, like, oh, my baby didn't sleep until they were 3. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Have you had or got a baby who was a real struggle to get to sleep, that you found yourself holding them for all of their naps and overnight? I've been there, and so had Kate from Montreal. At 3 weeks old, Kate got in touch with us because she really needed some help with her newborn baby's sleep. She'd reached a point where she felt their sleep situation wasn't actually safe anymore because she was having to hold her baby upright for all the naps and overnight. Kate was beyond exhausted. She needed to find some sleep solutions for her little one and for herself. Today I'm going to be talking to Kate, and she's going to tell us how she was able to implement some of our sleep strategies to help her little one sleep much better right from newborn, and how they are able to sail through the 4-month sleep progression while maintaining great sleep habits. Welcome, Kate.
It was my first child, and I was living in Ottawa then, and my family was like hours away. Yeah. So I was very much like on my own, trying to figure it out with my husband, of course. And after 3 weeks, you know, we were sort of like surviving the new parenting thing and trying to just go with the flow and see how things were going. Like, thankfully, you know, birth went well, you know, breastfeeding went well, and all of this. The only challenge we had really is that our daughter Jeanne would not let us put her down to sleep. So she would sleep on us. So at first we didn't worry too much about it, but after three weeks, I was just like, yeah, that's not sustainable. Yeah. And like, you know, they tell you it's super dangerous to sleep with your child. So, you know, we were doing shifts and not sleeping. And then eventually I just like, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, there's gotta be a solution. Way. Started looking up, you know, solutions, and I think you guys popped up on my Facebook, and I saw that a friend of mine had liked the page, so I went and asked her. I said, I saw that you like this, you know, did you try it? And she said, you know, it worked it was miraculous for both my daughters. It worked great, and I'm very happy with it. And she sent me a quick document to give me an idea of what it looks like, and I was like, you know what, might as well give this a try. And so we started doing this, and I think the first night that we just did, you know, the sleep environment with like the swaddle, we bought like a Velcro swaddle where she's really stuck.
The easy to use ones. Yeah.
So we the swaddle, the white noise, and the really dark room. And the first time we combined those 3 elements, she slept in her bed for a few hours. So that was like a good
amazing
start.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're on to something.
Yeah.
And then, you know, after that, it was more like, if I want to give this a shot, I need to really commit to it. And so I spoke to my husband, and we were like, you know, we need to give this a fair shot. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and move on. But we can't do it like halfway because we're never going to know. So at first I found it like hard to like follow the schedule, and I had a cat napper. So Jeanne would always wake up after 35 minutes for the first few weeks. So at first, you know, I felt discouraged at times because I was really tired, and I really needed to nap as well. But like resettling and everything was kind of stressful, and and trying to get things going. But eventually it just like, it clicked in. I got that longer nap in, and, you know, it was still a struggle. She'd often wake up after one sleep cycle, but it was getting a lot easier. The nights, however, went well right away. As soon as we started, I was doing a lot of troubleshooting during the day. So like managing the wake at times and everything. The naps weren't great, but I was troubleshooting the day, and the nights were good. So that was encouraging. I was like, okay, at least something's going well.
Yeah.
And then things started to be really smooth. But then we went on a 3-week trip to Portugal. So 6-hour time difference from where I live. So we went away for 3 weeks, and we did like 8 different cities, and we were like driving around a lot and everything. So we kind of lost the good, like,
it's virtually impossible, right? Like even your own sleep would have been all over the place.
Yeah, so we were doing naps in the baby carrier because we were walking a lot and everything, so we couldn't manage very long naps, but we're still like trying to manage it, and it went okay. But when we came back, I started, and you know, we came back just when the 4-month regression hit. So I was like everything at once.
Good timing.
Yeah. So that was a bit of a challenge, but I taught her to self-settle like gradually and everything. And we were kind of getting there. It was going really well. But then I must say that the hardest time I've had on the program is when she hit like 5 months. I think she had a big like developmental leap when she started sitting up and eating solids and all of this. And then like everything went out the window. And she was like waking up every hour at night for 3 days. And then I was like, that's it, I'm going to die. And my little one didn't accept a bottle until she was 6 months. I was really like on my own, getting up every night because I couldn't share, because my husband couldn't soothe her because, you know, she could only take the boobs. So, and since then it's been really great. I mean, we've fixed all the naps. She woke up once for feeding every night until she was like 7.5 months. And since then, she's been sleeping 12 hours straight.
Amazing.
Even through sickness, she had a big cold over Christmas, and she, you know, she's so used to, you know, self-settling. Sometimes she'd cough, she'd wake up, sit up in her bed, look around a little bit and go back down. And so she hasn't, and now she's almost a year. She's going to be a year old in 2 weeks. So, and I'm like, you know, things are working. So trying not to change anything.
Yeah, yeah.
And then she started daycare. So I was really nervous about like start daycare. She had never really slept in a different environment that much and everything. But thankfully our daycare provider was very like open to adapting to our schedule.
Great.
Well, once I told her that my daughter was sleeping 12 hours a night perfectly, she was like, okay, you're on to something.
Yeah. Let's not ruin it.
I'll follow your schedule.
Yeah.
So she's been, and she thought it was very easy to manage Jeanne, because she would just like do the sleep routine, put her down, and she was like, oh my God, I wish I had discovered this thing before, because she finds it so easy.
Yeah.
So it's been going really well. I mean, today was a rougher day because we tried to do the nap at a friend's house and she's not used to that. So she struggled. But if we're home and it's like a normal day, things are so easy. And she goes down at night without a sound, and she's just happy to be put down in her bed, and it's really nice.
Oh, that is awesome. And when you think, you know, it's nearly been a year, right, since you started, and it's like all of those highs and lows and the struggle, which everybody can relate to, and how different things are now than a year ago. And how would you say your sort of experience of motherhood, or your like attitude toward motherhood, is now compared to when you first started sort of a yearish, just under a year ago?
Well, for me, like expecting, one of my biggest stress was sleep, because I'm someone who needs her sleep to be able to function. And you know, some people can pull it off with 5-6 hours. I can't. Like I've always been someone who needs the rest. So I was really nervous about it all, and am I going to be able to do this? And like I was really nervous. So at first it was hard, but then, you know, having a guide that, you know, told me what to do, I didn't have to question it, and I was aiming for a goal, and the way it was explained to, like the science behind sleep and everything, and just seeing the problems come before they actually come, so I get prepared. That was really helpful. And I did find the first few months hard. I had my baby in the winter too, so I was isolated, you know, the first few months, and you know, we had a really rough winter last year too, so it was hard for me to get out of the house. But then once I emerged and everything, now I'm actually like enjoying, and you know, when they get to an age that it's more fun too, they interact a lot more. So by the time all that fun stuff happened with the baby, her sleep habits were perfect at the same time, so we got to a more comfortable place. And then when I went back to work and my husband was staying home with Jeanne, he also really committed to, you know, following the guidelines, and he found it very helpful too. And you know, now we're like married to it. We don't change anything. It's just, and if people want to mess with our schedule, like no.
If they want to mess with the schedule, they can come and have your baby that night.
That's exactly what I said. Like, I know I'm a bit rigid, but I sleep at night.
Yeah, that's right. You can't put a price on that, right?
Our friends who feel. And so many of our friends are like, oh, my baby didn't sleep until they were 3. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't like imagine.
I couldn't do that. No. I couldn't do that either.
You do it because you don't have a choice. But like, I think we're so lucky. If I compare, like hearing all those stories of kids the same age as mine who still wake up 3-4 times a night, and I'm just like, I don't know that I could have survived.
That's right. So what, if you could give some sort of advice to a new parent, you can hear my dog barking. What would the advice be? What would you say to a new parent?
I would say that some babies are good sleeper right away, some aren't, but eventually, if you don't establish good sleep habits, it will catch up with you. Like we've had friends whose babies were really good, they were sleeping well at night and everything, but they had no routine schedule. And once, our babies got to 3, 4, 5 months, it really like hit them that nothing was working, and they were struggling with the feeding also. That wasn't on the schedule. So they weren't quite sure, hungry, tired, never know what the baby has and never know how to deal with it. As opposed to, I never had to question if she was hungry or tired. I just fed her and put her to sleep. So she was never too hungry or too tired.
Yeah, that's right.
So it just made it easier. My little one was, she would spit up all her milk all the time, every feed, until she was 5 months, when she started solids and started sitting up. So it wasn't reflex. It was just like a lack of maturity.
Yeah.
And so the feeding schedule for me was I was feeding her more than the schedule because I was so afraid that she wouldn't keep any in. So that was also my struggle at first, but it fixed itself at the same time as the sleep got a lot better. So it was like a big revelation. I would say like healthy sleep habits are just a game changer. It may go well because you got lucky at first, and also like persevere, because sometimes you think that's just how it is and my baby can't do that. But I do tend to think that, sleep and how the brain works is pretty much the same for everyone. You just have to train yourself. And now I look at my little one and she's so easy to put down. She looks even happy to go to bed. So it's just, it's a lot easier on all of us.
I agree. That is awesome. I love hearing, I actually love hearing too, that, what wasn't working and what was working and what you had to do. And like, that's life, right? Like no baby is just start to finish perfect and does everything by the book. So good on you actually, for you obviously able to read your baby and work out what was going to work the best and what you needed, and prioritizing your own sleep as well as your child's sleep is really important too. So that's awesome. I'm so stoked for you.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm happy. Now it's the next transition. When we drop a nap, I get really nervous about it. But
I know, it's coming. You said she was nearly 1. I was like, oh, okay.
She's always a bit late on dropping naps. Like I think she's like me. She needs more sleep than the average, I think.
Yeah.
A little bit. So like she still like sleeps for 20 minutes in the morning, and like I have to shake her to wake her up because she'd sleep for so I know that she's still at 20 minutes and we're going to have to reduce it, but like,
wow. Don't do it till it's time,
Yeah. I'll wait until she shows signs.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Then I'll do it, because otherwise if I force it on her, it's
no, that's right. You don't do it till they're ready. My kids are very different. Like my son is a lot lower sleep needs than even his older sister. So they're all like, my 9-year-old has really high sleep needs. She'll easily go to bed at 7:30 at night and, fall asleep instantly. Whereas if I put my 7-year-old son to bed at 7:30, he'll lie there awake for half an hour. They vary. It's just figuring out the groove and, knowing your own kid as well, which is a really important part of it.
Fun when they slept well. I mean, if the naps go well, the day's so easy. She's in a great mood. She wakes up, sometimes the daycare provider tells me that she wakes up singing and dancing in her bed, and then she goes and pick her up because she's hearing her, because she's like talking and dancing.
Oh, that's so sweet. Hey, thank you so much for talking with me today. It's actually been really awesome hearing your story. Thank you, Kate, for talking to me today. I really love talking to our customers and hearing firsthand how they've been able to improve their little one's sleep and of course their own sleep through the use of our sleep programs. If you are struggling with your little one's sleep from newborn right through to till 3 years old, check out the sleep programs on our website for lots and lots and lots of sleep methods, advice and strategies. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay up to date with all of our baby and toddler sleep videos. Thank you very much for watching. See ya.